So, the Great War of the Mahabharata, it's finally over. A kingdom has been won, the dynasty is safe. But have you ever wondered what happens after the fighting stops? You know, when the battlefield goes quiet? Well, that's what we're diving into today. This is the profound and honestly often overlooked story of the Pandavas' final journey. And let me tell you, it's a path that doesn't lead to another throne. It leads somewhere much, much deeper.
So, what's left after you win a war? It's a huge question, right? And it's really the heart of this entire story. For the Pandavas, the ones who won everything, the answer wasn't what you'd expect. It wasn't fame, it wasn't glory, it wasn't even peace. No, it was something way more complicated. A kind of deep, unsettling quiet that all the victory parades in the world just couldn't fill.
So we're talking about the unquiet throne, this idea of emptiness in victory. And, if you were just looking from the outside, everything seemed perfect. Hastinapur was thriving under King Yudhishthira. The kingdom was doing great, people felt safe, justice was being served. It was a golden age, really. But inside the palace walls, and even deeper, inside the hearts of the Pandavas themselves, a totally different story. A deep, lingering emptiness.
And these are the burdens they were carrying. I mean, victory came at an absolutely terrible price. Just imagine, every single celebration, every moment of peace, was haunted by the faces of the people they had to kill. Their cousins, their teachers, their friends. The grief for their own children, especially Draupadi's 5 sons, was this constant, dull ache that never went away. And then there's Yudhishthira, finding out that Karna, the man he fought so hard against, was actually his own older brother. Can you even fathom that? That truth was a weight that was just almost impossible to carry.
And this, right here, is the turning point. Yudhishthira finally says it. We must understand not only our royal duty, but our soul's duty. He gets it. Rebuilding a kingdom, passing laws, managing an economy, none of it was enough. They had to rebuild themselves from the inside out. And so he makes a radical decision. It's time to leave the throne, leave all the comforts of the palace, and start a pilgrimage. It's time to face their karma head-on and figure out what Dharma truly means now.
So that's exactly what they do. They hand over the kingdom to the next generation and they just walk away. They set out not as kings and queens with a whole entourage, but as simple pilgrims, just them and the open road. And this journey, it wasn't some kind of religious tourism, no way. This was a deep, personal quest, a river of atonement, you could say, an attempt to wash away the blood and the sin from a war that, even though it was for Dharma, was still incredibly brutal.
Okay, so where do you even begin a journey like this? Well, for them, it started at the holy river Ganga. You can just picture them there, in Haridwar, taking that sacred bath. They performed rites and offered prayers for everyone who died in the war, not just their allies, but their enemies too. Then they moved on to Prayag, the Sangam, where the great rivers meet, to seek wisdom from the sages living there. And this part is so important. They didn't just hide away in ashrams. They actually walked through villages, sat down with the people, and just listened to their troubles. It was a reminder that Dharma isn't some abstract idea. It's about service, about connection. And you can feel Yudhishthira's inner conflict so powerfully in this silent prayer. Imagine him standing there, by the Ganga, and just thinking, Mother Ganga, if we really fought for Dharma, if we did the right thing, then you have to wash away our sins. It's not a demand, it's a plea. It's this desperate, humble hope that their intentions were pure enough to earn some kind of peace, some cleansing.
So they're on this journey, trying to find peace, when suddenly a message arrives. And this message is a game changer. It's going to lead them to what is, without a doubt, the emotional core of their entire journey. A final, completely unexpected meeting deep in a forest. And the news is this: Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and their own mother Kunti. They've all renounced the world. They're living as ascetics, hermits in the Himalayan foothills, putting themselves through incredible hardship. The moment Yudhishthira hears this, he just knows. He knows with every fiber of his being that they have to go see them one last time before it's too late. When they finally find the ashram, the sight that greets them is just shocking. The old king, Dhritarashtra, is so frail. Gandhari is thin as a rail. And their mother, Kunti, looks like a true hermit, worn down by the elements. But here's the crazy part. Despite how their bodies have withered away, their faces tell a completely different story. There's this strange, undeniable peace on their faces, a kind of tranquility you only get when you've let go of literally everything.
And then, the moment that changes everything. Dhritarashtra, the king whose blind love for his son literally burned down their entire family, reaches out a trembling hand, places it on Yudhishthira, and says, "Son, forgive me. My attachment burned down our entire lineage." Wow. Just wow. In that one sentence, you can feel decades of anger, resentment, and pain just dissolving. It was a pure, unfiltered confession. And it wasn't just him. There's this incredibly powerful, silent moment between Gandhari and Draupadi. Think about it. Gandhari, the mother who lost 100 sons, embraces Draupadi, the mother who lost her 5. All the blame, all the accusations, gone. In that moment, they weren't on opposite sides anymore. They were just two mothers who had lost everything, finding a strange kind of comfort in their shared grief.
So the Pandavas stay there for a few days, and for the first time, they feel a sense of closure they probably never thought was possible. But this story isn't over. The final act is still to come. And it's not going to be a tragedy. It's something else entirely. A chosen end. A conscious liberation.
Then, one night, a forest fire starts. You can imagine the crackling flames, the smoke filling the air. This should have been a moment of chaos, of panic. But for the 3 elders, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and Kunti, this wasn't a disaster. It was a sign.
They looked at each other and knew, now is the time to leave the body. And instead of running away from the fire, they made a choice, a conscious, deliberate decision. They turned, faced the flames, and with this incredible serenity, they just started walking towards them, as if they were walking home.
The next morning, the Pandavas return. The fire is gone, and all that's left is ash. And this profound silence, a deep, deep sense of peace. There's nothing to mourn, really. Their elders had chosen their own end. They merged with the elements, completely on their own terms. But this moment, as final as it seemed, wasn't really an end. It was a lesson, a huge, powerful lesson. It was a sign for the Pandavas, pointing the way forward for them, showing them what their own final path had to be.
Of course, Yudhishthira is heartbroken. And just then, the great sage Vedavyasa appears to him, and his advice is so clear, so direct. He says, "Do not grieve. They have faced their karma. Your path lies forward." Basically, he's telling him, their journey is over. They've settled their accounts. Now it's your turn. Stop looking back. You need to look ahead and prepare for your own journey. And what the elders did, that walk into the fire, has a name. It's called Mahaprasthan, the Great Departure. It's that final journey where you let go of all worldly things to walk towards spiritual liberation. And by seeing it happen, the Pandavas finally understood. Their own time for this great departure was coming. Soon, they too would have to let go of it all. The kingdom, the memories, their victories, their grief, everything.
Which really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? It's the question they had to face, and I think it's a question we all have to face eventually. What does it mean to prepare for that final journey, the one where only your soul travels on? After a whole life filled with action and duty, wins and losses, how do you get ready for that? What's important enough to hold on to? And what do you have to be willing to let go of?
For the Pandavas, that path forward leads up, way up, into the Himalayas. So join us next time, because we're going to follow them on their northern pilgrimage. We'll explore the legends of the Panch Kedar, these sacred sites, where they seek one final forgiveness before their final ascent. It's a story you won't want to miss. See you then.